afternoon. My name is Shannon Robnett. I'm here in Meridian, Idaho, where I've lived most of my life, since I was 8 years old actually, and I've watched this town grow from maybe 100,000 to a metropolis that combined is pushing right about 800,000, and I've been a part of the development community in this town for over 30 years. And the reality is, I wanted to share a little bit of my story with you that gives some credence to what it is I'm talking about here in my further episodes of what's going on in the valley and how to be a part of the development community. See, I grew up with two parents that were both in the real estate and development game. My dad was a commercial builder and a residential builder as well. My mom was a real estate agent, and we saw them put business deals together at the kitchen table on almost a nightly basis. Well, not a nightly basis, but that's the way I remember it, right? They were always going through, well, what if we sold this? And what if we bought that? And what if we developed this? And I saw that growing up, and it really put a passion in me to not only look at this as a game that can be played, but swapping this for that, changing this for that, being able to build something that adds value and then sell that something for something else of value. And I watched through different real estate transactions. My father was able to accumulate that and build something and then sell it and do what's called a 1031 exchange and move that money tax-free. That was an exciting thing for me. And so as I watched that happen throughout my life, I watched my parents be able to accumulate a sizable retirement at a fairly early age that allowed them to make the choices in their life, not be dictated to themselves what they had to do to pay the bills. So as I grew up, I really wanted to see how that worked. And I really remember my first real estate deal. I was working for my dad on a project out by the airport, and I came across the neighbor who, there was a mother and a son who lived there. The mother was getting up in age, and the son seemed to have a little bit of a learning disability and still lived with mom and took care of her. Well, I got to be friends with them, and I saw that they had a nice piece of property that they wanted to sell. And so I made them an offer on their property, and I scrounged up the only $500 I had, not the last $500, but the only $500 I had to put an earnest money on this property. See, because as I've been talking with the crane guy on the site about what he needed, I figured out that he needed that yard for his operation. And so I approached the crane operator once I had that property under contract about buying that property from me. And right there, I made a deal with him. So in the course of a 48-hour period, I put a piece of property under contract and then had a contract on it to sell. So when we all went to closing on the same day, I bought the property and sold the property and made a handsome profit. But what I learned at that point was that keeping my eyes and ears open put opportunities in front of me to make money in real estate. And so when people approach me and say, Shannon, how do you make money in real estate? How do you get started? Well, the reality is you start very simply by doing a transaction for yourself, by keeping your eyes and ears open on where you want to live, on where you want to make a transaction happen. And this is where it's getting off the rails.